Once more.
Yeah.
Welcome to KZOOM. We're Jack and the Djembe.
Jack and the Djembe.
Jack and the Djembe.
Our good buddy, Jax.
And I hope she chants too. Does she chant?
See, I'll tell you that. My brain.
Perhaps.
So we've been doing these KZOOMs since March, when I realized, we need a little encouragement. I need a little encouragement through this time, and I felt like doing spiritual practice together.
Holy community.
We could encourage each other. So I read this. I was reading this book called My Grandmother's Hands by Rasma Mccallum. What's his name? Rasma Mccallum.
Sounds Jewish.
And he told this story about somebody who is running like a marathon race, and he 3/4 of the way there he falls down and he scrapes both knees and he's bleeding and he's exhausted and he's really about to give up, and his friends run over to him and they say, "No, you can do it. You can do it. We saw you do it last year, and we know you can do it. It's going to be okay." And they sort of pick him up, and he goes and he finishes the race. And so the author of this book was talking about the way we think about resilience. Resilience as a quality that we cultivate inside ourselves. And we have a kind of a bias in our culture to think about ourselves as individuals. And even doing our spiritual work, we're doing it as individuals. And what he was trying to say was that, it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen as individuals. And it took one little sentence from that book that I wanted to share. That said, I often tell people that resilience is not a thing or an attribute, but a flow. It moves through the body and between multiple bodies when they are harmonized, even on mute. It is neither built nor developed. It is taken in and expressed as part of a larger relationship with a family, a group, a community, or the world at large. So it was, when I read this, it kind of, was an eye-opener to me, because I realized how much of my own spiritual work I think I'm sort of on my own, and I have to do this work, and I have to build up these qualities within me. And he's saying, maybe it's not so useful to think of these qualities within us. Rather, they are qualities that flow between us, and it's it just changes our orientation to spiritual work, and to say that we need each other. We we're actually not this singular voice. We are, even in our own homes, we are singing together. We are working together towards the transformation of the planet. And if we don't hook up we will be overwhelmed. You know, we will fall down,
scrape our
and
knees,
scrape our knees, and not get up. And I'm always looking, you know, to each other for encouragement. And encouragement means that, like, if I'm going to have any courage in this world at all, I need to find it between us. So that's part of my intention for tonight's KZOOM, and I wanted to really start with the Shir HaShirim chant. And the words of this second part of Shir HaShirim, it says, "Take me with you." It's like, draw me towards you, and it acknowledges that this journey that I'm on, I need to be. I'm not just, you know, going for it. I need actually to be invited, to be pulled, to be drawn forth from the prison of self into the larger being that I am. So take me with you. Let us run together. Draw me to you. And it is a kind of a calling forth of our enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm is what's going to allow us to keep going, even when the news looks bad, or when outer circumstance seems not so conducive. That there's a force of drawing us, and that force is a flow that is moving between us. I'm so disorganized.
Just organized differently.
Disorganized differently.
That's a good rephrase.
So my commentary on this verse is that sometimes I think of myself as someone who has an idea and then I want to run with it. And that's a good thing. My enthusiasm for life and for the creative process just kicks in. And with this verse, I say to God, let's run together. I don't want to do this alone. Let's run together. Be with me as my joy, as my spacious awareness. Let me know you as the mystery that draws me into this next adventure, and accompany me through every danger. I'm acknowledging the risk, but I'm saying, well, if you come with me, I can do this. And we say this to God, and we also say this to each other. So as we bring these words to life, I want them, to kindle this excitement inside, this sense of arousal that the Song of Songs talks about. Because if I am not aroused, then I can't rise up to meet the beloved. And we do that through the beauty of these words, through the music, through the rhythm. And I was chanting this afternoon, sitting in the arroyo near my house, and just looking up at the sky and looking up at the everywhere, and saying, draw me, take me out of my small perspective, draw me to you, and then we can go for it. And the place that we go is into the king's chambers, which means into the divine realm, into an expanded state of consciousness. And from there, I think we can become, channels for that divine force into the world.
Mashkeni akarecha narutza
משקני אחריך נרוצה 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 משקני narutza.
Once more with enthusiasm.
Mashkeni akarecha narutza. Mashkeni akarecha narutza. Mashkeni akarecha narutza. Mashkeni akarecha narutza. Mashkeni acharecha narutza. Mashkeni acharecha
Close your eyes, bring your attention to the breath, and allow the breath to kindle the fire inside that wants to go for it, to go after. So this quality of
Ooh, that was sweet.
going after is such an important thing. And I remember sometime early in our relationship when Rasma said, we're working on our stuff, and he says, well, when I got a bead on it,
I go after it.
I go after it.
A bead on one of my dysfunctional traits, my endearing dysfunctional traits.
When
I
I
just go
notice that
after
I'm
it.
triggered, I go after it, and that's really the quality that's needed. It's like, because there is a tendency to go run away in the other direction
Deny it.
and be in denial, right? But to go after it means to come into full awareness, and I like that we're not just going after it, that there is a force of awakening that is drawing us to that. So it's not just a one-way thing. So this quality of going after, I wanted to juxtapose it with another quality, and this next chant that is called Dafka. Dafka. Now, so the word devekut, the translation that I love the most for that word devekut comes from a book by Yitz Buxbaum called Jewish Spiritual Practices, and he gives a definition right at the beginning of the book, because devekut is really the core of what Jewish spiritual practice is about. And he gives the definition of God consciousness imbued with love. So in my translation, I wanted to bring that love part of it. So my soul with love goes after you, follows the bead, follows that hint, and the love is what moves me towards you. The love of life, of existence, of being. So I'm going to go after God, the beloved, with this love that is kindled in me, in my deepest soul place. So dafka nafshi acharecha, that's the first part of the chant. But then the second part of the pasuk says, Bi tamcha yeminecha, and which is this realization that, I'm going, but actually all I have to do is lean back and feel the support of the one who has been holding me all along. So that sense of embrace and that sense of relaxing into the arms of God is kind of the, the counterpoint to this going after. Because I need both qualities. I need to go for it. And I need to I need to sit back and rest into the divine arms that are holding me. And so I want to do each part of it separately first, and then we can do it together as a round. But I want to get the feeling and the kind of the contrast between those two parts of ourselves that we are, in a sense, we are integrating those parts. So the first part of it says, Dafka nafshi acharecha, Dafka nafshi acharecha. Try that.
Dafka nafshi acharecha, Dafka nafshi acharecha.
Let's do that a couple more times just to feel the movement inside us of going after.
Dafka nafshi acharecha, Dafka nafshi acharecha, Dafka nafshi acharecha, Dafka nafshi acharecha.
So through that going after, we are lifted, we are enlivened, we are set forth, setting forth. And then there's this remembrance of, oh yeah, I just need to relax. I need to lean back. I need to allow myself to be held by those arms that are waiting for me. And so I sing. Bitamcha yeminecha, bitamcha yeminecha. Try that.
Bitamcha yeminecha, Bitamcha yeminecha, Bitamcha yeminecha, Bitamcha yeminecha.
So what this reminds me of is like what's called the star, the Jewish star, or the Star of David, or the Seal of Solomon. There's one triangle that's sort of pointing up. That's the going after place. And then there's one triangle that is going down, that's resting and feeling the support of that divine embrace. And when you put them together,
magic happens.
magic happens, right? Because we are in a way we become. I can feel that upward pull and that downward pull, and what it does is creates a kind of a vessel that is a bridge between heaven and earth, and that we are moving the energy in that way, and that in both directions. So it's almost like I feel it like a muscle inside me that I need to work both of those muscles. And so we'll do it together once, and then we'll go into a round. And the wonderful thing about a round is that you can be singing one part and hearing the other part. And in a way, it's like both are activated inside you, one from the hearing and one from the singing.
So let's get a bead on it and go after it. That connection with God.
And then just relax.
And then just relax. That's good, because it's one doesn't always remember that when one is running.
And one gets to remind one.
Oh, I appreciate that. We're good allies for each other. Okay.
So here we go.
דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, בי תמכה אחריך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, בי תמכה ימינך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך, דווקא נפשי אחריך.
Close your eyes and feel yourself at the center of that star. The crown moving up into the heavens, feeling it yourself drawn into the wide expanse. And feeling then the pull of the earth, the gravity of your incarnation. The feeling of being settled inside, open, receptive, expectant. find yourself at the center of those two forces. Both of them are forces of calling, of being called out of your small self into your large self. Out of your mochin de katnut, small mind, into mochin de gadlut, into big minds. So what I want our practice tonight to be exploring is that sense of calling. Rasma, would you put this light on? Oh, yeah. That sense of calling is kind of an interplay between us and the divine. It's, when we say Mashkini, draw me to you, there is an opening of our own receptivity to that calling, and then there's a listening for where we are called and being responsive, or sometimes I even use the word obedient, obedient to the calling, listening. And that central prayer of Shema Yisrael. Shema means listen, but it doesn't just mean listen, it means obey. Really. It means listen. When my mother used to say, "You're not listening," she didn't mean I didn't hear her. It means I wasn't doing what she said. But that word Shema is kind of like, attentiveness to the call that is calling you right now. And, the truth is that each of us is called in a different way and called to be a different vessel for the divine flow. And where we get into trouble is when we try to think about our calling and think like, look at somebody else and say, oh, well, maybe I should be doing that. And maybe that's the calling. But really what it takes is really a deep listening and obedience within to be able to find our own calling. And it's the same force, but it's moving through this very different vessel that is unique. So there is a moment of calling in our tradition that I wanted to bring forth, and it is the moment that Moses, who represents that enlightened place inside us, the place that responds to the call. And there was a moment, he left Egypt. He went over to Midian. He had a nice gig as a shepherd. He had a family. Things were kind of unfolding for him, and then he ran across this miraculous sight of the bush that was burning and not consumed, and he came up to it mesmerized by this sight, and God introduced God's self to him in that moment, and said, take your shoes off. There is, in a sense, that calling can come from your connection to the earth. That I am supporting you, from beneath your feet. So take your shoes off, and maybe the shoes represent a kind of like our over-civilized nature that kind of cuts us off from our calling. And so part of that calling was in the bush that was burning, in the fire that is like that we go after, right? The fire in us that moves us. And part of that calling was in the earth beneath his feet. And he said that, this ground underneath you, That's me. God says, that's me. That's holy ground. That's where the divine presence can, and there's a sense of the earth beneath our feet as being the force of sending. Like that its firmness. One of the names of God that I love is Tzur, rock. Tzuri is my rock. So when we feel God beneath our feet and we feel that holiness and that reverence for the ground that is holding us, then we're going to go where we need to go and feel ourselves sent and feel ourselves opening up those chakras, really, at the soles of our feet, that can be in touch with the divine presence that supports us and holds us and sends us. So I wanted to do this practice of holy ground for each of us in our Moses place. Knowing that each of us is called, and each of us is being called into service in only the way that we can manifest.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of sense of equal importance that each one of us is doing what our part is. But we can't do it without that sense of holy ground beneath us, that sense of God's presence that's supporting us and sending us. So I imagine each of you in your places all around the world. Diana down there in Argentina. I don't know if Tony's here
she's here.
In Australia.
Or it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All of us holding that our own place, feeling the
Hey, Tony.
feeling the holy ground that we stand on, and that's what's going to make us into prophets who are each doing our part. Adma. This is note.
Okay.
Adma Kodeshu.
Adma Kodeshu. Adma Kodeshu.
Adma Kodeshu.
Kodeshu, Admat Kodeshu, Admat Kodeshu, Admat Kodeshu, hi 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 hi.
invite you to listen for your calling. What are you called to? How is God calling you? And if there's a word or a phrase that comes to you in this moment and you could be witnessed, you can put it in the chat. Are you called to? So when that sense of your guidance becomes clear,
Sacred play, that's good.
when the guidance is clear, when the calling is clear, then my faith is that you will be given exactly what you need in order to fulfill that calling. Yeah.
Mm.
So the last practice that I wanted to bring is called Send Me, and it really is about our, calling on our own willingness to go, to be sent. And the practice begins with a question that says, who am I gonna send? And who's gonna go for us? Who is gonna do this? Not the Ghostbusters.
No, that's a different thing.
No, who's gonna go? Who's gonna go? And Rasma's gonna go. Jack, are you gonna go? There we go.
All right.
She's going. So, and the answer, then, it's sort of like, what I like to do is I chant the question for a little while first. And at some point, when I can't stop myself anymore, then I give the answer. I say the answer. Then let it rise up for someplace deep inside that says, Hineni, Shalacheni, here I am. Send me. I've been preparing my whole life to be able to answer this call. Send me. Yeah. And so So let's start with the question and really hear the question coming from within us. Should I do it too?
Okay.
So here's the question.
Het meerslag, hoe meer lanu. 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 Het meerslag. Meerlijk lanu, het meerslag. En meerlijk lanu, het meerslag. Meerlijk lanu, het meerslag. Meerlijk lanu, het meerslag. Meerlijk lanu, het meerslag. Het
So God is sending each of us, and at the same time we are sending each other. And we're sending each other by seeing some quality in each other, and in that seeing becomes a sending. So it's like the line that says "Kumi lach, ra'iti afati uluchi lach." Go to yourself, because if you go to yourself, you'll know what kind of a vessel you are. So I want to take a minute to look around the Zoom room and see with our gaze, with our Zoom, it's like a new thing, a Zoom gaze. And with our Zoom gaze.
Everybody see the baby? That sweet baby. Oh my God. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I couldn't help it. Oh.
Okay, let's not distract. It's going to get distracted. We're doing a practice here. We're doing a Zoom gaze.
Right.
To gaze and to be able to see in each other the prophet, the particular vessel, that channel that each of us is. And I want to be able to send each other to your calling. So I want to thank you for your practice, and remind you, first of all, I love doing this with you. Try to come on time or a little bit early, because the beginning is really important, because that's when I do the whole framing of what the work is. So try to come on time. And I look forward to continuing in our practice together. And, and invite you to go to the website and click on the button that says donate and give something. And, as part of an energy exchange. And I just want to say that, this project of Love at the Center has launched, and there are different groups and chavruta that have been forming around the country, or maybe the world, that are working with the curriculum that I'm sending out. And so be in touch with me if you want to be connected up with one of those groups, or if you have a group in your community that maybe you might want to invite other people to join you, because it's really wonderful to be able to do this curriculum in community. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Love at the Center is the name of the project, and look for it on my website. And it's kind of the exciting thing, and I feel like we're on a journey together. So these KZOOMs are part of that journey, and I love that the work is happening in these places all around, and there's a way that we can all connect up our efforts and our inspiration. So I'm going to